G'day, ZiggyD here, and in today's video I'm going to be going through the changes I made to the Heavy Metal Marauder for patch 1.1 and onwards. So the Marauder overall received the biggest changes out of any of the class in this recent patch. The whole Marauder start was completely redesigned really, so I knew that respeccing this character and sorting it out was going to be a bit of a shot in the dark and was going to be pretty interesting in what we actually ended up with. But after having sort of, refigured it out, we spent a few hours on stream playing around with it. I spent a little bit more time thinking about it as well. And taking into account some different feedback I had from the forums and some of the viewers, we eventually came up with a passive tree now that we're running with the Marauder, and also a few other kind of core changes to the build, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. So overall, the patch means that this build is now much more tanky, way more tankier than it was before. It was always designed to be a softcore build, and I still think it is primarily designed to be a fun softcore build. But the changes to its tankiness now mean that you're not really dying in maps anymore, and I haven't really come close to dying when I'm playing properly. It feels really good. I have 5k life now on my character. I had 3k before. Huge amount of extra life, huge amount of extra armor, and overall the character is much more simple and efficient, and just feels a lot better to play. There's less time spent using curses, there's less time spent using a lot of different skills and things like that. Everything kind of happens automatically now, taking advantage of the cast when damage taken setup, using blood magic now for support gems, reserving more of our mana with auras to get a lot more armor through grace, and so on and so on. I'll go through that in a bit more detail when we go into the gear. The trade-off was that we did lose a bit of DPS kind of earlier on with the build. So whereas before I was kind of sitting close to about 10k DPS on Infernal Blow with multi-strike, I'm now closer to 6k. Though that said, I have a lot more plans for damage nodes beyond where my current character is at level. My current character is level 79, and the next pretty much all of the levels from here on out are pure damage nodes, and really big ones at that. So the damage should climb back to kind of where it was, but the patch did result in a bit of a damage nerf for Marauder, which makes sense. The whole change to Marauder was basically to make the Marauder a much more tankier, much more beefier character, and a better start overall, but more point expensive, so it's more of an investment. So we had to spend a few more points at the Marauder start, and we ended up better for it in terms of tankiness and reliability of the character, and overall I feel like the build is better overall. But we did have to sacrifice some earlier DPS for it. But it's still a pretty high DPS build, even though the tooltip DPS has decreased a bit. The way Infernal Blow works is it scales off monster life, so when you get that first mob exploding, it just chains and everything just blows up into blood and guts. It's an awesome build. I'm in love with this build, and I know you guys, a lot of you guys are too, so I'm sure you'll be happy to see the update today. So let's switch on over from the background footage. Hope you enjoyed the background footage. And we'll check out the changes to the auras and stuff like that first, my skill gem setup, because a few things changed there. And then we'll take a look at the new passive tree. Okay guys, here we go. So as you can see, sort of just standing here now with Grace running, we've got 47% armor, so the Grace armor boost is really nice to have. So along with the extra armor scaling we have from the tree now, which I've accidentally turned my Grace off and have lost my, I don't have any mana regen to get it back. Along with all of the additional armor scaling we have in the tree now, it's in pretty good shape. Not to mention a lot of the skill usage means that things like physical damage and stuff are a non-issue, and also a lot more life, and which means a lot more life regen as well. So all pretty good stuff all round. But what I essentially decided to do with the new change, we can actually reactivate Grace, was with the new changes and with the increase in life, I thought let's kind of revisit the idea of this being a blood magic build, but taking advantage of this idea of reserving 100% of your mana, or close to 100% of your mana, with 2 auras. And the 2 natural auras for this being a Fizz damage build are Hatred for DPS and Grace for armor, because we're an Iron Reflexes character. So reserving most of our mana with that works out really well. We still have just enough mana to cast things like Blood Rage and stuff like that, but that's it. We don't need to cast anything else. We run Infernal Blow and Leap Slam on blood magic, so they just cost a small amount of life, which we regen instantly. And as you can see, same deal just there. So huge regen, blood magic's not an issue. We sacrifice a little bit of DPS from dropping a support gem, but we gain a lot of extra reliability on the character. So I think it's well worth it in the end. So basically now I use Infernal Blow in a 5-link Moroi Urki. I use Infernal Blow with melee physical damage, melee splash, multi-strike, and blood magic, whereas before I was using weapon elemental damage. A nice little side effect of this is the build is a lot less susceptible to elemental reflect. Now there's still, when mobs explode, if you explode a high life pack of mobs that is a reflect pack or a double reflect pack, then you still need to be careful with that. So you don't want to go around infernal blowing double reflect packs. Instead you want to use leap slam, which is pure fizz damage. And same deal, don't leap slam fizz reflect packs, use your infernal blow. That's the rule for avoiding reflect deaths on this character, and keeping that in mind, you won't die to reflect. Leap Slam's a similar deal. Leap Slam, faster attacks, endurance charge on melee stun, and then blood magic. You can actually, if you want to go for a bit more damage to try and one-shot trash mobs a bit more, you can actually switch out stun for melee physical damage instead, and you'll still stun quite often, but this I found is a little bit more reliable. If you get, I think it's a quality endurance charge on melee stun, you actually get a bit more potential for stunning enemies. I think when you level it as well. So like a quality high leveled endurance charge on melee stun, you can probably drop the stun support gem. And if you have a fair amount from the tree, which this build does. So that's all pretty good there. That's just basically how to run your main skills. I now use 2 cast when damage taken setups, and I kind of found what I feel is a really, really good setup. I use, firstly, your kind of traditional cast when damage taken at level 4, which gives level 37 requirement, and I link it to Molten Shell at level 9, Enduring Cry at level, it's supposed to be level 7, and Warlord's Mark, which also goes to level 7. So what happens here is Molten Shell procs when you take damage. When you take a little bit of damage, Molten Shell goes off, and you get a good whack of extra armor. 400 extra armor is not an insignificant amount, and it's basically free. We get Enduring Cry, so that helps us with keeping up our endurance charges, in addition to the Leap Slam, endurance charge, and melee stun. So that helps keep those up. And Warlord's Mark will curse enemies, giving you a ton more life leech. As you can see, you get 4% extra life leech here from your attacks for the cursed enemies. So when you do take damage, you start leeching more. And then when you kill them, you actually get your endurance charges and more flash charges gained. So this automates this before, whereas I was self-casting this before, and I really like the automation, because we can focus on leap slamming and destroying things with Infernal Blow. Feels good, feels good. Second setup I use is cast when damage taken at level 7. I feel like this is the best level, but maybe it could go to level 9. And then I use Rejuve Totem, which I need to level up a little bit more, but it goes until it has a level 43-ish requirement. You need to keep it below that. And then Immortal Call and increased duration. So the increased duration is for the Immortal Call. We actually get really, really long duration Immortal Calls with this, because we'll have 7 endurance charges when this goes off, and you basically become immune to physical damage for like 5-6 seconds then. So pretty nice. And by the time that wears off, you get your endurance charges back anyway from leap slamming around and from your Enduring Cry going off. And Rejuvenation Totem Drop, which allows you to regen any damage you have happened to take in to get to this point, and it all feels really good. It all feels really good. Like, I feel like I can push this much, much harder than I was able to push it before. So overall, I'm really big fan of those changes. Let's also now switch on to the passive tree, and I'll sort of take you guys through an approximate leveling process for the build, and also in just why we kind of selected the passive tree that we have. Okay, here we are with the improved Marauder start zone. We go down through the life and armor, all the way through the life and armor. The regen's not really needed. These life and armor nodes are much better, and actually give us like a fair whack extra regen anyway, just by the nature of them being percentage increases in life. Warrior's Blood, which gives us a huge 2% regen now, all the way up through the life clusters here and out through fire. The fire resist here, actually the max fire resist there, the 2%, helps us survive fire, like our reflect from Infernal Blow, so that actually works out really nice. We get Lava Lash, which increases our Infernal Blow damage and added fire damage and things like that while you're leveling, and Blood Drinker for some nice leech. Of course, going through the Endurance Charge, because Endurance Charge is a big part of this build, and we head up through Resolute Technique. And this is probably I'm taking you guys in the rough leveling process that I would take. Now from there, I would probably head downwards. You're free to pick up extra life here if you want to, the Bloodlust Cluster, and then come down through this way. Now, you have a very good option of leveling with Blood Magic this build while you're leveling, and I actually kind of recommend doing so. It makes it a lot easier until you can get your Blood Magic support gems and all that sort of setup. And then once you can get that, you can simply drop Blood Magic for 1 point change. Nice and easy to do. We come down through here, you can pick up Unwavering Stance. I'd leave Unwavering Stance for now, actually. So what you want to do is come through this way. I would go up this way and grab Master of the Arena, grab your Endurance Charge, come down through, grab the Golem's Blood Cluster, grab the resistances if you need them at that point, and then come down through this way and grab Iron Reflexes. You want to kind of rush from Iron Reflexes there. From there you have, once you grab Iron Reflexes, you're free to grab Unwavering Stance. I just wouldn't grab it before, because then if you have any evasion, you're still going to benefit from it. And once you have Iron Reflexes, you can start wanting Grace. This is actually a good time to also drop Blood Magic. You can then run Grace and Hatred together with the Blood Magic support gems on your main attacks, and you'll be good to go. And from there you have a few options. You can basically fill out the extra life here, fill out the life and damage, grab some of these damage clusters, head into Templar, get a lot of extra life and survivability in here. You have a lot of different options in terms of filling it out. But the main leveling progression is basically Rush to Resolute Technique, go to Blood Magic if you need Blood Magic for leveling. You can actually go Blood Magic first if you want, especially if you get some accuracy on your gear. It's only a few extra points to get there. Then come down through, rush kind of towards Iron Reflexes, picking up some life and Master the Arena along the way. Master the Arena is a really nice node for using with multi-strike. Then get Unwavering Stance, and then fill out all of the rest of it. So pretty simple and pretty strong. I think for leveling this will be really nice progression. And you know, I've leveled this character before, and I think looking at this tree compared to the previous tree, I think it looks probably stronger than ever in terms of leveling. And at endgame, it feels pretty good. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any questions about the build down in the comments below. And of course, I will link the forum thread, which has been updated in the description below as well, so make sure to check that out. And that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.